if you pay your own rent, you will understand what I'm trying to say now. You're going to relate how difficult it is to find an apartment, regardless of where you are, regardless of who you are. As long as you are trying to look for a place to stay, most likely you're going to struggle because of the agents, you're going to struggle because of the area, you're going to struggle because of the timing. But yeah, it's different reasons for different people and different timings for everyone. I live in Russia. I've been living here for a few years. Fast forward to from 2018 that I moved here. In 1 month, I lived in like 21 different hostels, but that's going to be another story for another day. So like fast forward to 2021, trying to get an apartment. That was when I firsthand experienced the difficulty in finding an apartment in Moscow. I live in Moscow, to be precise, Moscow, Russia, So you would not understand that having your money, having a good job, having a good character, being a potential good tenant does not guarantee you an apartment in Moscow. And it's not because of the absence of apartment. There are always apartments. There are good hostels. There are good houses if you wanted to live in a house to rent, But then you would realize that while we were trying to call different landlords, there are like sites where you could check, like in every country, sites where you could check for apartments that are available for rent or for sale. It does not matter how, but they all have different kinds of apartments in this kind of sites. You pick out phone numbers. You don't even have a criteria, like you don't necessarily need to speak the language. You just pick up phone numbers from these sites, call the landlords, landladies. Sometimes some people put their agents in place of their own personal phone number, so that if you want to find an apartment, you have to call the agents and the agents will reach out to them. So all of this, we called different agents, called different landlords and landladies. Some people will answer, some people ask, because the way things work in Russia, once you want to get an apartment, you call, you fix a date for you to come and see the apartment. If you're going to like it, then you guys will go ahead with every necessary document that you guys need to provide. It's not so difficult. Providing all the documents are not very difficult as long as you have your registration. And you, of course, you as long as the landlord or the landlady likes you, then I think you're good to go. You don't necessarily need, like I heard in America, you need like credit score. A few other countries have different criteria to get a good apartment and things like that. You don't need that in Russia. You don't even need to have an official job to get an apartment in Russia. Sometimes some people can actually give you their registration to get a house. Do you understand? Like people can use their registration. Somebody that has a registration can use their registration to help you get an apartment or a house, wherever you want to live. So we call different landlords, call different landladies, different agents. Everybody answers the call. We kind of we struggled so many times, to speak Russian. But my girlfriend is Russian, so my girlfriend then is Russian, who's my wife now, is Russian. She spoke Russian to a lot of these people back then. You don't even, some of them don't even want to speak to you if you're a foreigner. But it's even worse. Why? Because you struggle more because you're a black person. I don't like to say Russians are racist. Of course, there is racism everywhere, but it's worse in some countries, obviously. But I figured out that finding an apartment is very difficult if you're a black person in Russia. It doesn't matter if you have your money. It doesn't matter if you're good looking. It doesn't matter if you have a good character. It doesn't matter if you have a good job. If you call a landlord and a landlady and they notice you're a black person, either they hang up the call, they tell you they're not interested, or they put it down on their profiles and say, we only want Slavic people, which are the blondie Russians, just Russians basically, and it's not just to black people, like to other Stan countries like former Russian republics or USSR republics like Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, a few other countries. But then it's more, I don't know if I would say there's like an extra level of injustice when it comes to black people. When you call, they start talking to you normally, but the moment they realize that you're a black person, they start looking for a reason to not give you an apartment. Either they cancel, they turn off, they cancel on you, they hang up on you, they They tell you ahead of time that no, we don't want black people, Even then, the craziest part is that if you think, okay, it's probably because so some people give the excuse that black people are dirty or black people have like 10 people in one room or 5, 6 people. It's like a stereotype as well. It's not, it's like the same thing with Russia. A lot of Russian people have like 9, 8 people, maybe in some cities. It may not be in Moscow, it may not be around in Moscow, like Moskovsky, like you can be out sketches of Moscow. People like you have people like 4, 5 people in an apartment, just because they want to pay smaller amounts of money to be able to accumulate it to pay one full amount every month. Everybody have different situations, But then when it comes to black people, they kind of make you feel like you have a disease, quote and unquote. It's I can't even understand their reason behind it. You have a good job, you're a good tenant, you pay your rent at the due date, you don't owe, you don't make noise, you take care of the apartment, everything is intact. It still does not guarantee you an apartment in Moscow. And I only live in Moscow. I've been to other cities, but I've not really lived there, so I don't know the situations in other cities. But this has been the situation in Moscow, and is alarming and a bit unpleasant, to realize that because of your skin color, finding an apartment is a bit of a struggle. Before we go to the apartment where we live now, literally, I had like 24 hours to become homeless. Like, no jokes. It was not because there was no money. Because if you want to rent an apartment as well, you have to like pay like 1 month extra ahead. It's called Zalog, just in case there are damages in the apartment when you want to leave. The landlord or the landlady has to keep the money in order to fix the things that were spoiled in the apartment while you were living there. So basically, I had every money. I had the log. I had the money for the rent for 1 month. I had my bags. I had to keep my things at my girlfriend's place, at her mom's place. It's just it's very sad to know that money does not guarantee you an apartment. Money does not guarantee you, does not guarantee or does not stop you from being homeless. That's the craziest part. Having money, being a good tenant, having a good job does not stop you from being homeless. Of course, if you have extra money, like you're rich, you want to buy an apartment, well, you're welcome. I'm pretty sure you don't have to struggle. I even have a friend that bought an apartment recently, and he was overcharged 2 million rubles extra. He was duped. I think he was just cheated. It's not his fault. It's his fault, probably. Also not his fault because he was not aware of the worth of the apartment where he bought. But probably because he doesn't speak the language very well, the agent kind of used this opportunity to exploit him, But in any case, that's another random story that is not related. But what I'm trying to say is that I can have my money and almost be homeless if I don't have a good landlady or a good landlord that shows kindness to say, okay, you can stay in my apartment. Before we got the landlady and the landlord that owns the apartment where we live now, they were kind enough to come for us to, then it was like, for this area, it was more expensive, to be honest with you, but it's already a normal figure right now. Then we paid extra just because we wanted to live here. It was like the last option that we had. I could remember my girlfriend was crying because she's Russian. They want to give her an apartment, but the moment they realized that I am her boyfriend, they were like, oh, no, we don't want. Then I was working as an English teacher. What's more decent a job more than an English teacher, But then they stopped taking calls. They would decline and ignore messages, respond and say, we're not interested. Things like that. They're very, very disappointing. Of course, in 21st century, we still have people that deny you of so many benefits. I'm not talking about in America now, outside of America. There are so many people that deny you of so many benefits, fundamental benefits, just because of your skin color, and this is very sad. I really hope it can improve. I don't know how this situation is where you are, where you live, of course I understand we have these stereotypes. I'm from Nigeria. There are stereotypes like that in Nigeria. When you're an Igbo person and you want to get an apartment in a Yoruba land, for example, another tribe in Nigeria, and then they don't want to rent to you because you're from Igbo and not from there. It's different, it's different reasons, but it's just worse when you're a foreigner I mean, I'm more surprised because I feel like when you're a foreigner, some people, there should be some form of 10% hospitality at least to represent your country very well and not be on the negative side of people that hold back some necessities based on the skin color of the person that is beneficial to this necessity. So yeah, I really hope that this situation improves, and I hope that most of the black people that are still struggling, because I'm in some Telegram groups in Moscow now, and I still see some black people struggling to find apartments till date, just because they can't get an apartment from the landlords that have apartments, or landladies have apartments, but they reject them because of their skin color, because of their black people. Even some of them want to live alone. That's the craziest part. Some of them want to live alone, some of them want to pay extra, but they still don't get the apartment. I really hope this situation will improve, and this is not to put Russia on the bad light. It's just a situation that is happening that to us as the black community in Moscow and in Russia is very unpleasant, and I really hope that somebody will do something about it. On the next video, I'm going to tell you a story about energy drinks and alcohol in Moscow. I hope you will subscribe. Please subscribe. Please subscribe. I don't think this video is perfect, but then it doesn't really matter. I'm going to improve anyway. Whatever that is not good, please bear with me. I will improve. Please subscribe, like, and hopefully come back next time. I'm going to say bye right now. Is this where I say bye, or is this where I say see you later, or is this where I say subscribe to King Gula?